Hello and welcome to Your Region This Week. I'm Anandi Carol Woolery. A lot has gone on in the past week, so let's get started. On Wednesday afternoon, the federal government made an announcement increasing the Canada Child Benefit. We spoke to Minister Jean-Yves Duclos on the announcement.
When it comes to the best natural renewable resource we have in our country, it is our people. And to be able to really develop the brain and to ensure that our next generation, our leaders of today, as the Prime Minister says, has the educational abilities, this is a program at Crania that is able to actually do exactly that.
Despite all of that tremendous economic growth, middle-class families being better off in 2019 than earlier, there is a lot more that needs to be done, and that's because affordability challenges are very severe. In the Waterloo region in particular, housing, childcare, transportation, day camps, summer camps, clothing, music lessons, all of that puts pressure on the budgets of middle-class families, and the cost of everything tends to increase every year. And that's why we are now going to increase the Canada Child Benefit for the second time in 2 years on Saturday, the 20th of July. The beauty about the benefit is that it's very simple. It's non-taxable, paid once every month, the 20th of every month. You don't need to wait until the end of the fiscal year to receive your benefit. Non-taxable, therefore you're not worried that you'll pay taxes on your benefit. And it's so simple to receive that the vast majority of families find it easy to get what they are entitled to, compared to previous regimes where it was complicated, unfair, less generous, and a lot less easy to manage on the part of the federal government. So it's a much better system designed to help families and therefore to help our economy.
On last week's show, we shared a police description on a man who is suspected in being involved in a sexual assault incident involving a 4-year-old girl. Last Wednesday, regional police released shocking revelations in the case. Here is the regional police press conference.
My name is Inspector Mark Kroll. I'd like to thank you all for coming here today and for your ongoing coverage of the investigation into a sexual assault that occurred on July 6, 2019. On July 6, 2019, at approximately 8 p.m., a 4-year-old girl was playing with friends in the area of 16 Brybrook Crescent in Kitchener when she was approached by a man inside the apartment building and was sexually assaulted. DNA analysis completed by the Centre of Forensic Sciences has linked this incident to 2 other sexual assaults that occurred in the Waterloo region involving young children over the past 7 years. On October 27, 2017, a 6-year-old girl was playing with a friend outside an apartment building located at 318 Patricia Avenue in Kitchener. At approximately 7 p.m., she went inside, and as she reached a stairwell landing between the 2nd and 3rd floor, she was confronted by an unknown male and was sexually assaulted. On October 20th, 2013, between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., a group of children were playing hide-and-seek outside an apartment building located at 429 Barry Place, Waterloo. As a 4-year-old girl went inside for a drink of water, she was grabbed by an unknown male and was sexually assaulted. It has been confirmed that one offender DNA profile is linked to all 3 incidents. The 3 victims involved were all sexually assaulted in stairwells inside the apartment buildings. Investigators from the Waterloo Regional Police Service Major Crime Unit are working very diligently with members across the service on this investigation. We're actively working with the OPP Behavioral Sciences and Analysis Services Unit. Also, we're working with the Serial Predator Crime Investigations Coordinator. This is a resource provided by the Ministry of Solicitor General that becomes involved with any linked or serial incidents involving multiple jurisdictions or multiple incidents that occur within a single jurisdiction. It is believed that there may be other victims who have not been yet identified, and police are encouraging anyone with any information to please come forward. Investigators are looking to identify a male who resembles the composite sketch you see next to me. We're also looking to identify a male who appears in the video still images provided, which stem from an incident on July 6, 2019, to understand what involvement or knowledge he might have with this investigation. I want to remind parents and caregivers to be diligent in supervising their children and to immediately call police regarding any suspicious people they see interacting with their children. At this time, we're also encouraging and urging the person responsible for these sexual assaults to come forward. They can contact investigators directly or report to any police division. As we continue this investigation, we want to appeal to the public to assist us by coming forward with any information they may feel may assist us. In the coming days, there will be an increased visible police presence in a number of neighborhoods across Waterloo region. Our officers will be engaging with the members of the community to share information regarding these offenses and the outstanding suspect. We believe that someone out there knows the person responsible for these sexual assaults. We hope that people will come forward to provide whatever information they may have to assist our investigators. This can be accomplished through contacting police or by leaving an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers. Police can be contacted directly at 519-570-9777, extension 8666. Anonymous tips can be provided through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or online at waterloocrimestoppers.com.
Your Region This Week continues right after this. See you then. Welcome back. 570 News' Brandon Graziano speaks with Sean Jeffords after Premier Doug Ford canceled his cell phone after too many calls from special interest groups.
Apparently, after too many calls from special interest groups. I want to clarify this, Producer Pauly, if you don't mind. If you could, I know it's really on the fly.
Yeah,
I know,
have the number here.
I know I gave you the number before. Can we just
let's just call it.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Please and thank you. Make sure it's right. Yeah.
I hope so.
The number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number and try
he
your
really
call again.
did. See, I thought it was just like a little bit of an announcement saying, that's it. I'm no longer. No, he actually did. Okay, we could actually talk about this then. This works. This works. So I could actually bring in my next guest here, or my first guest, Sean Jeffords, Queen's Park legislative reporter with the Canadian Press. Sean, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Okay, so I guess, Sean, you know what? Let's start off just with the normal question here. I mean, why did he cancel the phone?
Well, he says that he was getting inundated with calls, and as you said, from quote-unquote special interest groups that were effectively making it impossible for him to even use the phone, to even make outgoing calls. There were just so many calls and texts coming in recent weeks.
I mean, for one thing, I mean, he kind of, I don't know, did he campaign on something like this at all? I mean, was this a part of his campaign saying that you can contact me anytime, my cell phone is right here?
Yeah, I mean, the premier has not been shy about giving out this number publicly before. I mean, he's given it out person to person, just on his business card, talking with people generally. But then he has also said his number during press conferences, during appearances, in front of Queen's Park. He actually did it on national television at one point during an appearance in the United States when he was on a trade mission back in February. And so this number is out there. It's on Google, as you say. You've been able to find it yourselves. I mean, it's not a secret.
No, exactly. Not a secret at all, but clearly not a secret that he's canceled the phone completely. So I want to know here, Sean, what are the implications of canceling said phone? I mean, I'm going to assume that he has another business phone on the side, but at the same time, though, I want to know what the implications are of canceling this particular phone.
It kind of speaks to the Premier's brand, which is what you were talking about with the last question there. He basically used this as a bit of a political, a part of his political brand, I guess is maybe the best way to put it. He used it as an example of, how easy he was to contact. You can talk to me directly. You don't have to, wait through or try to get through the middlemen in the government to get to me to talk about your issue. But what I think his critics will say is that the Premier has hit a real rough patch in his term of governing. He's had a lot of bad polls. He's had to do a major cabinet shuffle. His budget was not well received. And what they are saying today is the Premier is getting a lot of negative feedback, and it's not from special interest groups. It's from regular Ontarians, and he doesn't want to hear it, and that's why he's pulled the plug on his phone. the Premier's office would say, that's not true. He wants to talk to regular Ontarians, but he's getting a lot of nasty messages over this phone, some death threats even. And the tone of the messaging was really what kind of cinched the decision for them to pull the plug on the phone.
And it wasn't even Premier Ford himself who made that decision. Apparently it was his staff who made that decision.
Well, they convinced him. That's what they told me, that he did not initially want to cancel this phone. He's had this phone and this number for a long time, like dating back to, I think, before he was a city councilor. So, you've had a number, your phone number for a long time. You're used to it. Your friends are used to it. You don't want to change it. He was in that situation, too, where he didn't want to do this, and I guess they kind of talked him into it in the end. He agreed.
Sean Jeffords joining me this morning, Queen's Park legislative reporter with the Canadian Press. We're talking about the fact that Doug Ford has canceled his cell phone after too many calls from quote-unquote special interest groups. Now, Sean, you've kind of suggested that they probably weren't necessarily special interest groups, but they're just a couple of angry people.
Well, no doubt there were people who were getting this phone number and were using it through like automated means, directing people to the Premier's number to, complain or text, their disagreement with whatever policy. The Premier's office has not provided a list of who they believe these folks are to me. I've asked for that. But they say that it's out there. If you go online, you'll be able to easily find campaigns from, private groups that basically were trying to bombard the Premier with information. But as I said, the opposition has raised the specter of that, the Premier, as I said, he has hit a rough patch in his term of government. And, no doubt he's been getting a lot more negative feedback. Frankly, he got booed at the Toronto Raptors victory parade. I mean, these are things that the Premier is starting to hear negative feedback, and any Premier is going to experience that over the course of their term of office. But we've arrived at that point now, I think, for Premier Ford.
Sean Jeffords joining me this morning, Queen's Park legislative reporter with the Canadian Press. Now, you talked a little bit there, Sean, just about accessibility to the Premier. Do you find that it's going to be the same as before, or is it going to be a little bit different now that he has no cell phone?
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to know. As reporters, we have very limited access to the Premier. For
that
the public,
we do, yeah. Yes, we do.
we wait on media availabilities. We go through his communication staff. That's generally how our access is sort of meted out. I mean, for the general public, I mean, you can still email him through his official email account. You could call his office at Queen's Park. You could call his constituency office in Etobicoke North. But then, you're going to have to go through the conventional, traditional channels that the Premier kind of eschewed. He, said you could get me directly on the cell phone and was quite proud of that. So, it's going to change for sure.
Your Region This Week. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. 519 Sports Online speaks with the newest member of the Waterloo Warriors football team, Padit Pimson from Huron Heights Secondary School.
That is my personality. I learned how to keep things on the field. I'm not an aggressive guy off the field. Like, I am a teddy bear.
He is a fierce competitor on the field and a gentleman off the field. Padit Pimson is bringing both sides of his personality to the University of Waterloo this fall, signing with Chris Bertoya and the Warriors football team on Thursday morning.
This school is a really heavy defensive school, with especially with Jack Hinsberger and Jake Sierkowski. I've played with them in the past, and I'm definitely going to learn a lot with them. I feel like Waterloo will improve me as a linebacker in general.
It's nice to get a Huron Heights kid in here. Happy for them and happy for their program. They've done a lot of hard work to get that program going again, and so Padit's kind of the staple for them, and we're happy to have him on board and help develop him, and hopefully he helps us get better on defense. It's another local product at the linebacker spot.
Phimmasone is a talented linebacker who developed his game playing Wixa football with the Huron Heights Huskies. He credits Dylan Gordon, the senior football coach, and Aaron Holmes, a teacher at Huron Heights, for helping him reach the next level.
Starting with Mr. Holmes, he really changed me this year through his one course outreach. Has really changed me as a person and trying to just find what my purpose is in life. And Mr. Gordon was just, you know, he's just helped me throughout the whole process, you know, trying to get in extra reps, trying to make sure my body's healed. I feel like he cares about me more than I care about my body.
That's every kind of high school's goal is to get guys to the next level, and I think we want to turn that next chapter as a program. This is going to kind of set that standard for kids. Like if they want to get here, you see what you have to do, see how hard Padit worked. You kind of laid that groundwork for them, and hopefully we just have more kids with similar goals to this, so we can just help them get here.
The 17-year-old also plays summer football with the Cambridge Lions and has been a starting linebacker for the senior varsity team for the past 2 seasons.
Cambridge Lions are, I mean, obviously they year in and year out, they're doing a fantastic job. You know, a few years ago we got a lion's share, no pun intended, but when they won that championship, and you know, consistently always at the top of the food chain in the OPFL, and nothing's really changed. You know, nice comeback victories of late, and you know, they're just doing a great job over there. The staff does a good job.
Jackson has really helped me through a lot with the recruiting process, you know, just talking to different schools for me and just giving me exposure. You know, Coach Andrew, my linebacker coach now, and Coach Rowe, my previous linebacker coach, has helped me through a lot with just increasing my football intelligence and everything.
Phimmasone is the Warriors' final recruit for the class of 2019, and now the attention shifts to the OUA regular season. The Warriors kick off their campaign on Sunday, August 25th against the Toronto Varsity Blues at 7 o'clock at Warrior Field.
It seems like a great kid and a big smile and a good family, and we're, you know, character is a big thing for us, and he seems to have a lot of that, and he becomes highly regarded, and so we're happy that he's on board.
Last week, Waterloo Regional Police participated in the Safe Driver campaign held across the continent. For details, here's Staff Sergeant Mike Hinsberger on the campaign.
So Operation Safe Driver has actually been going on for several years during this same week, and so it runs from the 14th of this month till the 20th. It is a North American-wide campaign, actually, and began with the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, CVSA's Commercial Vehicle Safety Program, and it's now involving both commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles, both, but it's a focus for law enforcement to initiate enforcement and highlight road safety practices, safe practices on aggressive driving behaviors that are causing collisions. So some of those are ones we often discuss: your impaired driving, distracted driving, seatbelts, lack of seatbelt use, and aggressive driving. So this year the focus is on speeding and aggressive driving behaviors on our highways. Some of those include obviously speeding, stunt driving, following too closely. A lot of those different offenses that we see each and every day, we're trying to focus on and do as much enforcement as possible and get the safety messaging out there that people have to take that extra second look, watch their speed, and adhere to the speed limits. When we talk about collisions, for instance, speed is involved with approximately 25 to 30% of collisions across the board as being a major contributing factor. So for a lot of those reasons, again, with this program initiative going on this week, law enforcement across the continent is focusing on doing enforcement and try to reduce some of these unsafe behaviors on our roads.
Your Region This Week continues right after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Last weekend, 2 Kitchener teens were reported missing when they failed to meet up with the group as planned. On Monday, they were found alive and well, thanks to the help of a 4-legged friend and their camping expertise.
Well, the girls had, the entire group had broken up into a couple of separate groups. They were all supposed to travel from one part of this local part of the park to another with a rendezvous set for Friday of last week. When these 2 girls didn't get to the rendezvous point when they were supposed to be there, the rest of the group did a little backtracking, looking for them, thinking maybe they were just running a little late. When they didn't find them, they called in the park rangers or park wardens, as well as calling in the OPP, and that was about 10 o'clock on Friday night, letting us know that they had 2 people potentially missing in the park. Because when you look at Algonquin Provincial Park on the map, that is one big piece of territory. It's someone said it was bigger than the province of Prince Edward Island. But the saving grace is, and this is something that we tell people: let people know where you're going to be if you're going into the woods. Well, it was one of our 4-legged friends named Zoe that led them there. Of course, we had a major search ongoing since early Saturday morning. By the time the sun came up, everything was in action. I mean, we had 2 aircraft scouring from above. We had a large number of OPP members. We had a lot of park warden people. We had members of the Ontario Search and Rescue Volunteer Association all scouring the trails, and several OPP canine units. And one of the canines, by the name of Zoe, her handler's an officer by the name of Constable Scott Gannon, were walking along a trail when Zoe got excited, as Zoe tends to do, I guess, when she picks up a scent. She started following the scent and led our officers right to the girls. They were in great condition. Lots of bug bites. I mean, as you can imagine, this time of year in Algonquin Park, lots of mosquitoes, probably a few deer flies nipping about, but they were in great shape. We can only suspect that they started rationing their food and water pretty early on. But the biggest thing that they did that is definitely a credit to them is when they realized what had happened was they were walking along what they thought was the trail, and then all of a sudden there was no more trail. So rather than panicking, and they couldn't find their way back to the trail right away, so rather than panicking, rather than just wandering aimlessly, they stayed put. They set up their tent, they stayed put, and just said, we're going to stay here. And that was probably the best thing that they could have done, because if you keep wandering, if you panic, then there's a very great likelihood you're going to keep wandering deeper into the forest and farther away from potential rescue, and you never know what's going to be ahead of you. That area, very rugged terrain. Very rugged terrain. So I mean, they could have run into a situation where they could have fallen off a cliff or anything. So they did the best possible thing, and that says a lot about what kind of experience these girls have and how smart they are.
That's all for another episode of Your Region This Week. For more information on the show, or if you have a story idea, visit our website, rogerstv.com, and fill out the proposal form at the bottom. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.